Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I have a sweet list for you for best of one standard. Today we're going to be playing around with black, white, Clerics. This is a list that's actually been doing pretty well, and you're going to see some pretty good games today, actually, with this list. I'm honestly really surprised, because it did seem a little bit dirtly, but there is some serious aggression when it comes to this deck, so let's explore what black-white Clerics essentially does. It's pretty much a Soul Sisters kind of style of deck, so we've got things like Cleric of Life's Bond, we've got Hallowed Priest. Both of these are going to act as the Pridemate side of the things, so Hallowed Priest, is whenever you gain life, you put a 1/1 counter on Hallowed Priest. I'm actually wondering, now that I think about it, is Hallowed Priest... Yeah, it's just from the starter decks in Magic Arena. So this one's technically not standard legal, so you won't be able to get away with this in paper, but on Arena it's legal, because it's in the starter decks, which is fine by me. So we got a 2-mana 1/1 Cleric who is a Pridemate. Get away with it just nicely. We've also got the Cleric of Life's Bond, which is a more balanced Pridemate. Don't know why, because it's harder to cast. Ores of Colors for a 2/2. Whenever another Cleric enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. And whenever you gain life for the first time each turn, put a 1/1 counter on Cleric of Life's Bond. So it can only go up by 1 every single turn, but that is, honestly, just perfectly fine. It is a 2-mana do-nothing, though, so you got to be careful. You can see yourself getting blown out quite easily with this one if you don't play around certain things. But if it is allowed to grow, it will run away with the game. Same thing goes for the Hallowed Priest. So right in the early game, to trigger the life gain on the Priest, we've got Speaker of the Heavens and Archfiend's Vessel, 2 1-drops that have lifelink. This one actually has a reanimation clause as well, so if it entered from the graveyard, you can exile it and make a black demon creature token with flying. And then Speaker of the Heavens, if you have 27 life, you can activate as a sorcery to create a 4/4 angel creature token as well. So these two are very good at gaining lots of life, mostly because we do have Luminarch Aspirant in the 2-drop slot as well to follow it up with. So you go with a Speaker, and when it's ready to attack, you play down your Luminarch Aspirant, and then you can make either of these a 2/2 lifelink. Vigilance on the Speaker of the Heavens is really good as well. It means that it's a solid blocker and a solid attacker, and it will keep growing in a Pridemate kind of stance, which is what the Luminarch Aspirant's going to do for us here. And then when we get to the 3 and 4 drops, we get into the absolute meat, the payoff, the engine pieces of the list. And those are going to be Veto, Thorn of the Dusk Rose, a 3-mana 1/3. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So all of those lifelinkers suddenly kind of pseudo double their damage. So when they get that lifelink damage in, we're going to deal that much damage. And then make them lose that life as well, based off of what we've gained. You can also pay 5 as well to give all creatures lifelink until the end of the turn. Quite a fair few of ours already have it by default, but it's kind of there as a nice end game finisher, because a lot of the time we will have like our Clerics and our Hallowed Priests ready to go. So if you can give these lifelink with a Veto in, these guys are going to be dealing a hell of a lot of damage, and that can close out the game. We also have a bit of a card advantage engine with Tabarak's Hope Demise as well, a 3-mana 2/2 with flying. Has lifelink as long as you have 5 or more +1/+1 counters on it, which we can get those by either our Clerics dying naturally through combat, through the second ability, or through our Luminarch Aspirant as well, putting counters on it every single turn. Tabarak's is a card advantage engine for us, though. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, you put a counter on Tabarak's, and if it was a Cleric, you may draw a card if you do lose 1 life. So we can really get back into the game with the Tabarak's kind of nicely, blocking with those 1/1s that aren't really getting us anywhere, trading them for some decent value down the line. And we can even do things like Demon's Disciple as well, a Plague Crafter effect, 3-mana 3/1 Cleric, enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker, so we can sacrifice our Archfiend's Vessel with the plan of reanimating it down the line to keep a 3/1 in play. When a creature dies, we're going to draw a card with Tabarak's and put a counter on it, so pretty solid stuff there. Finally, again, another Death Trigger Matters kind of card, Aura's Skyclave Hierophant. Not too sold on this card being in the deck, to be completely honest, but it is a fun one nonetheless, and it synergizes quite well with the cards that we do have in the deck. So 4-mana 3/3 with lifelink, so it's going to be another way that we can trigger our Hallowed Priest. Whenever an Aura or another Cleric you control dies, every single card in our deck is a Cleric, by the way, you return target Cleric card with lesser converted mana cost from your graveyard to the battlefield. So synergize with things like Demon's Disciple. When the Disciple enters the battlefield and dies, it will trigger our aura and allow us to get back a 2-drop. So that can actually get us back our Haymaker cards, like our Hallowed Priest and our Cleric, who could maybe enter and trigger all sorts of stuff along the way. And if they would die, we get back our Archfiend's Vessel, which actually makes a 5/5 when that gets reanimated. So there's definitely some synergy there. Or hopefully we get to see that at some point today, but I'm not so sure. We have Agadeem's Awakening as well, which really benefits on the split side of our curve, essentially. If we can cast this for 6, then we can get back 3 different creatures with mana cost 3 or less, so we can get back our Tabarax, Cleric, and a Speaker, or an Archfiend's Vessel and make a 5/5. Something like that. This also counts as a land as well, which does allow us to reduce the mana cost, or our land count in our deck. We do have to pay 3 life for it to come into the battlefield untapped, but we are a life gain deck, so that should be no cost at all, honestly. You might even want to do 3 of these in your deck, but I only have 2, and I don't really want to be using more mythics on them, to be honest. A little bit pinched on wild cards at the moment after building so many decks, but yeah, speaking of the mana base, we have a grand total of 20 lands, 22 if you count the Agadeem, and Fable Passages to crack, the pathways as well to fix. Nice to have an on-color pathway in Standard right now. There's not many decks that can be playable without them, to be honest, but if you're nice and aggressive, this is a great card to have for sure. Castle Lochthwain as a one-off, so we can draw cards to keep ourselves in the game if we don't have our Tabarax. And an Ardenvale as well, just to make some human creature tokens. Not really much to it, it's just a nice land to have again, and you could sack them to maybe your Demon's Disciple or something like that. They're not clerics, so they won't really be triggering off of much, but, you know, again, nice to have. And yeah, that's essentially the deck. If you do enjoy this list and you want to see more of it, make sure to hit that like button as well. It helps out the channel a great deal. Subscribe for more content like this in the future, and without further ado, let's continue onward, shall we? This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Okay then, we're in, and we've got a turn 1 and turn 2 play with removal and a 3-drop as well to go with the Speaker's life gain off of Luminarch Aspirant. So we're going to give this one a shot. I think it's pretty solid, to be honest, so yeah, let's go turn 1 Speaker and see what we're up against. Our opponent is leading off with a Lurrus of the Dream Den deck, which means that we're up against Cycling. Okay, so we do want to have black mana here. So we're going to make sure our pathway does that. We could also pay 3 life on the Agadeem's Awakening. Might be worthwhile in all honesty, but I think for now what we're going to do is we're going to start pumping up the Speaker. The Flourishing Fox is a problem, but we can get it with Bloodchief's Thirst without an issue. So we might as well just let our opponent cycle and think that it actually does a thing. Another Flourishing Fox, actually. Okay. A little bit more of a problem. Without a doubt. I'm going to need a better answer than what we have right now. Yeah, can't afford to take that one. Another Luminarch Aspirant. So I could take 3 in order to get the Aspirant down so that we got a Speaker getting in with Bloodchief's offer the 3rd land. Probably want to do that. We can remove 3 counters as a combat trick perhaps as well later down the line. Yeah, I think because we're gaining enough life here, we're going to pay the 3. We are going to Bloodchief's Thirst, the one that can block, might as well. And then get a Luminarch's Aspirant down. And then start pumping the Speaker a little bit more. It's got Vigilance as well, so if our opponent, for some unknown reason, can't cycle it past 4, then we have that option available to us. So we're gaining our Speaker by 2. They're probably gaining theirs by 3, which is where the problem arises from, but we can quench it a little bit with the remove 3 counters. Valiant Rescuer. Okay, so that's going to make them some 1/1s. Certainly not great for us, but we can make that less of a problem by putting Veto down, so that when we gain life off of the speaker attack, our opponent will lose that much life, so it's as though it went unblocked. Opponent's actually... Huh. So it's coming in as a 6/6. Our opponent can double block and we can punish. Yeah, we'll give that a shot. So all in on the speaker. Send in Speaker of the Heavens as a 6/6. I don't think they'd want to double block, but if they did, well, we'd just be in a situation where we can just punish that. Destroy a creature with no counters on it, might as well go for that. Got rid of all their threats. We didn't get down our veto, but I think that's not too much of an issue. In fact, we can even make a 4/4 now because we're at 27 life. I'm going to play veto down next turn, though. Let's see, how many cards have they got in their yards? Well, it doesn't matter, because our opponent has had enough. A bit of a weird block from them. If I was them, I probably wouldn't make it. But it was worth a shot from us, and it paid off. Yeah, I'm just looking at what Zenith Flare would have done. So with a land drop, they'd have been able to do 5 there, which is not enough to kill Speaker. So they'd probably cycle a little bit more to make sure that they can actually kill it. By that point, we'll have played veto, dealt them 6 on the life gain, plus the 4 in the air, putting them to 3, and yeah, should be able to set up a veto lifelink or something like that later down the line, who knows. But yeah, solid stuff. Okay then, let's have a look-see. We have a 2-lander, but our second land comes into play tapped, which is awkward. Otherwise, if we took the turn off, we go Cleric of Life's Blood on 2 instead. I guess so. I guess we can try this. It's so close to being a good hand for sure. I think a good top deck could definitely send it there if we can get our 3rd land drop for veto or something like that. Or our opponent durdles a little bit too much. Green Stompy, maybe? Actually, don't know. Well, we did get our land drop, so that's cool. And yeah, let's go with the Cleric of Life's Blood first. 2 mana do nothing. Good value. It's honestly a shame that we didn't get a Plains, to be honest. Ooh, Spikefield Cave, that's the one that deals 1, right? Yeah, Spikefield Hazard. So this is to deal with things like Lotus Cobra. Ah, we've got an Archfiend's Vessel. That'll do. Okay, so play our Swamp. We'll play our Cleric of Life's Bond, which will gain life and trigger both of them. Only triggers for the once, though, so it's not, like, terribly overpowered. Then we might as well just be mana efficient and get our Archfiend's Vessel down. We have a veto coming down to trigger them again anyway, so they'll be attacking us 4/4s soon enough. If they went just land Lovestruck Beast, it's Teema, okay. And Uro. If they went with just Lovestruck Beast, we'd probably just go with the Speaker of the Heavens and a Heartless Act and just keep the pressure going. So I'm guessing it's an Uro pile. Well, not an Uro pile, sorry, an Omnath pile. Omnath is like 50% of the meta right now. Unsurprisingly that there's a broken mechanic somewhere. I will take your damage. I think you have a shock. And if you don't, doesn't matter to me either way. Alright, so let's go with Veto Thorn of the Dusk Rose, so that our life gain triggers will drain our opponent. So gain 2, lose 2. Pump our clerics up to 4/4s. And then, oops. Then do it again. Speaker of the Heavens. Gain 2. Lose 2. And then get swinging, and it's going to be another drain for 1 with the Archfiend's Vessel, unless they have that shock on the Vessel. Which would be mostly fine. Yep, mostly fine. Okay. Well, we had some decent pressure there. We'd have actually gained enough life as well. Sweet, rank up. We'd have gained enough life there as well that on the next turn we could actually get in with Speaker of the Heavens, doing the make a 4/4 every turn as well, which is pretty solid. A land drop gives all of these lifelink, and that is an absurd amount of value. Basically, Veto on 5 mana here turns these guys into basically Ember Cleaved up creatures if they're unblocked. They'd be probably swinging for 5 and then draining for 5 as well. So, pretty solid stuff. Let's go for another game. Alrighty then, we're in on the draw this time. And yeah, this hand looks good. It looks pretty similar to the previous ones we've had, and we've done quite well with them, so we'll give this one a shot. Again, I guess we'd rather have a swamp, but it doesn't really matter with this particular hand anyway. And we're probably going to do the same thing as well. Cleric into Aspirant, trigger them all, trigger them all, trigger them all, keep triggering. And maybe somewhere down the line when we get to 3 mana, we've got the Blood Chief's Thirst. Ooh, we found our Aura. Nice. I'm yet to actually see this card do anything, but I am also yet to have drawn it, so would explain a lot. Opposing Vantasaur in a what appears to be cycling deck, but no Lurrus. Not sure I get the reasoning for not having Lurrus, but we'll figure it out as we go, I guess. Yeah, let's just go with the Clerical Ice Bond. Drying Stinger will do a fair bit of damage on the cycles, but we should be able to recoup that with life gain triggers anyway. And again, if we drew a Swamp or a Pathway, we can do Cleric into Blood Chief's Thirst. So I guess they don't want Lurrus because they want Imposing Vantasaur in their deck. It's a thing, alright. It's not a great thing. This might be like the version of cycling that actually has all playable cards in their deck, maybe? I don't know. Ooh, we did draw the Black Sauce. Okay. So, Black Sauce. I guess we'll go with Cleric first. And then we'll Blood Chief's Thirst the Stinger. Let's turn these into 3/3s. And destroy the Stinger and swing for 3. They'd never block with it. I guess you might say that it's worth trying, but they would never block with it. The whole point of cycling is to get an engine piece in play and then start just cycling your entire deck, so it would make no strategic sense for them to actually block there. Unless they knew it was dying, which they probably don't on just 1 black mana. Okay, so staring down a fair bit of damage here. Dranith Healer, the worst of the cycling payoffs. I'd love to get Aura down, I suppose. Ooh, Blood Chief's Thirst again. Well, it's mana efficient. Luminarch Aspirant, trigger the Clerics. And they're not even in the full playable one either. Take care of Dranith Healer. And we're going to swing for full damage here and put the counter on the non-summoning sick creature. Should have this game essentially locked up at this point. They'll be forced to use their Zenith Flares, I guess, on our creatures. Currently dealing 7 if they've got the land drop. So they can get rid of a Clerical Lifeblood and stay in this game for sure. But if they start using the Zenith Flares on our creatures, it's usually a really bad sign for them. They're going to actually play Footfall Crater? Why on earth would one decide to do such a thing? Alright, well, Luminarch Aspirant. Trigger the Clerics. Trigger. And we're going to spread the love around. We're going to put all of our counters on Luminarch Aspirant here. There we go. And yeah, send it on in. Should be lethal. And indeed it is. Opponent goes to -5. Fantastic. 3-0. Not too bad. Alrighty then, we're in. We got a 4-lander and decent cards, so gonna keep this one. Lead off straight with the Swamp here. Never know what we might need mana-wise down the line, so don't want to use your pathways too early if you don't have to. Opponent's got Mountain and Passes. Okay, so it could be a shock. It would be less than ideal if that was the case. Yeah, I guess we can't really not play Cleric of Life's Bond, though. It will just die to a 2-drop removal spell as well. But it would be a bit miserable. I'm tempted to maybe go for the Archfiend's Vessel. Or even just pass with Cleric into Archfiends, but then they can respond to the Cleric. So, you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there. We're going to make them use their removal. Which they will no doubt have. Maybe they'll leave it alone because it's a do-nothing right now kind of card. Yeah, I would accept removal spell here so that we can then go Luminarch Aspirant into Archfiend's Vessel and start pumping up the Vessel, since it has lifelink. Ooh, Speaker of the Heavens. Huh. And it's Gruul. Fair. So they might have a Stomp. If they had a Stomp, let's go with Speaker of the Heavens. Try and get Cleric as a 3/3. Not much we can do to stop it, of course. If they do have the Stomp, which I think they do. But it will keep the Luminarch Aspirant pretty safe. Alright, fantastic. And from there, play the Plains Pathway. I guess we're throwing out the Aspirant here. That might get a Stomp. Ooh, Spike Field Hazard. Alright, fair enough. That's that one that gets that to deserves that one. Is that alright? Little brain fart there. Another pathway. This is Rada. Okay. Well, I can get rid of Rada with a Demon's Disciple. It'll pump the Cleric of Life's Blood as well. We could even pay 3 to then get the Archfiend's Vessel down. Or, alternatively, we can play the Archfiend's Vessel and sack it to the Demon's Disciple on the off chance that we get to reanimate it. That's not too bad either. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, make a 4/4. Pay 3, kill Rada. Sack in the Archfiend's Vessel and get in for 5. So now our Cleric is above most removal, and it's getting to the point now where its power and toughness is probably larger than most creatures that our opponent will be able to pump out here. Especially by next turn, anyway. We'll have it as a 5/5. There's an Omnath. I'd love to top deck some solid removal for that, but we got the Hallowed Priest instead, which is basically Pridemate. And in my books, still pretty decent. Okay, we're gonna put the Demon's Disciple up to 4/2 and then swing and swing. If they want to offer the block, by all means. Somehow I don't expect that to happen, though. Opponent's gonna go to 3. They might as well, since land drops do gain them 4 life. And they're probably very, very, very close to just popping off here and winning the game out of nowhere. If I know this deck. And unfortunately I do. There's Lotus Cobra. So you can make a land drop, make mana, and 4 life. Ooh. Is that the Hedron? Yeah, the Florahedron land. Okay. And then Uro to gain 3 more life, potentially making a land drop and making 4 mana, I think, this time. Yep. So make 4 mana. They've got 5 total, actually 6 total because of Lotus Cobra. And not enough cards to escape Uro here, but they can probably just play pretty much anything that's in their hand right now. He is hoping that we get something to finish off the game next turn. We should have some decent top decks. Any Cleric is a life gain triggered for the Hallowed Priest, and the Cleric of Life's Bond. Heartless Act removal should do a decent job as well. Just going to replay an Uro. So this can do 4 to each player. Four mana remaining. This deck cheats on mana so well, it's unbelievable. And then the final act is to kill my Aspirant to stop a 1/1 counter next turn, which is fair. Ooh, Veto. Veto's not bad. Gain 1 life, lose 1 life. And then we can get in, and get in, and get in. Might as well get in with a Speaker of the Heavens as well, I suppose. Gotta block with the Lotus Cobra if you want to make that block. Can they afford to profit block? Or is it all chumps from here on out? Okay. I'm gonna go to 2. Keeping their Omnath around, though. Oh, they're gonna go to 1, sorry. If we draw a land, we give everything lifelink, and none of this matters. Alright, that's Fabled Passage, gaining them 4 mana. That should be enough for Uro to come out, and it is. Omnath pretty much pays for it. There's Genesis Ultimatum. Kenny, another Omnath, drawing a card. Still not enough. Land drop will still win us this game. Got a 35% chance on that. It's a little bit more, actually. It's 37% because we've got the Agadeem's Awakening. And here comes Uro. Big Papa Uro. Makes the land drop, gets the 4 mana. They can do another 4 ping. If they crack the Fabled Passage. Do they have enough to Genesis Ultimatum again? I don't think they do, right? Down to 14. Keep in mind, I think we're at 14 and the only damage they've done is through land drops. Can haste up, gaining 3 on the Uro. Does this force me to block? Let's have a look. 10, 15, it does. Alright, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I guess they win. I guess they win. Go to 2. We've only got 11 points on the Hallowed Priest and Cleric attack here. And it would have been a land drop as well. Let's just see what we would have drawn. God, I hate this deck. It's the worst. Speaker of the Heavens. It's +2/+2 on the attack. Very close, but not close enough when Omnath can come down and just pop off. Yeah. It's 2 points short, unfortunately, there. And, yep, that'll do it. Alrighty then, let's have a look-see. We have turn 1 Speaker with a Hallowed Priest to follow up, and we can probably remove something with Bloodchief's Thirst as well, if we need to push through that 1 point. So I'm going to keep this hand, I'm going to give it a shot. Think if our opponent's a little bit dirtly, we can punish that. Nope, it's Fabled Passage to start, so it's just the right amount of dirtle for now. Let me guess, it's probably an Omnath pile. Hallowed Priest. Get in for 1, make it a 2/2. Next turn we can play Speaker plus Blood Chief's Thirst. And it's got a Stomp. Okay. Rip Hallowed Priest. Ooh. That's not good enough. Dang it. So close. Alright, well, let's play Swamp. Let's play the Cleric. Yeah, if we'd have had different mana, we'd have been able to play the Speaker here and trigger the Cleric, get him for an extra point with the Hallowed Priest. We can do that next turn, hopefully, though, if they don't have another Stomp. And it does look like... Oh, maybe it's an Adventures list. Could very well be. Alright, so let's trigger the ETB on Cleric. Gotta be real quick with this one. We're gonna go grab... I think a Swamp, actually, in case we get Agadeem's Awakening in hand. We got the other planes anyway, so... Let's give this a shot. Tapped Temple. We're out of Stomp range on our creatures that actually matter here, which is really nice. Bay of Wishes for a Storm's Wrath. Well, should be all good off a Storm's Wrath if I play this Cleric, right? Cleric and Speaker will die, but the Hallowed Priest will gain a metric ton of power and toughness. Is that worth it? It would be less than ideal if our opponent has a Brazen Borrower, so it would properly reset us. But as it currently stands, we've got a 2/2 coming down with Summoning Sickness next turn, so I think I really just need to have a big creature on board. So let's get those triggers. It's a shame we were 1 point short there of saving the Cleric. But at least we can save the Priest. And, yeah, I mean, they need land, blue land, Brazen Borrower. Or Edgewalling Keeper won't do it, because we got the Blood Chief's Thirst to finish off the game. Here we go. Yeah, they took a bet that we didn't have removal there. Did not pay off for them. They would have been forced to block with it as well, and then from there, I don't know. They could keep playing all their adventure creatures, I suppose, and it would be just a matter of time again until I got removal, because a lot of these adventure creatures in here are pretty mana intensive. I guess the Fey of Wishes is the exception there, but that would probably keep them off of like Brazen Borrowers, but I don't know. Pretty good anyway. Alrighty then, and looks like the first of a relatively mediocre hand that I'm not really confident about throwing away. We're going to keep this one. We're going to hope that we find one of our many 2-drop, Pride Mate effects. So if we get ourselves our Hallowed Priest, or our Cleric of Life's Blood, or Life's Bond, this is going to be a pretty decent one. Something to grow the team anyway would be really nice. That is a Goblin Arsonist. Ooh, baby, we got our Hallowed Priest. The problem is that Arsonist deals 1 damage to any target, so our Speaker of the Heavens, it's only a matter of time until that's dead now. Well, let's just get our Pathway. I guess because it's gonna die, we should probably just throw it under the bus for our Hallowed Priest counter. Yeah. I mean, there's some blowout potential here for sure. Actually, how do the triggers stack? Oh, damn it. Yeah, okay, that's a punt. Yeah. Should have known proper sequencing there. Fervent Champion. Gotta imagine this is just a really rough matchup in general, though, to be honest. Let's just play Speaker. Play the Pathway. On black, I guess. Pass the turn. Plan on trading it off with an Arsonist, maybe, or getting some removal out of their hand. Yep, totally fine. Strange that they didn't get in with their Fervent Champion since it has first strike, but maybe they missed that. I think I've got to save the Heartless Act for a Torbran. This kind of looks like Cavalcade. I think Cavalcade's rotated though, right? If I get rid of this and they play Torbran next turn, I've got the Demon's Disciple anyway. So let's just go Archfiend Vessel and pass the turn. Still at 20 at this late stage in the game is a really good spot to be in. There's Fervent Champion. Should be swinging in. Yeah, they don't realize it has first strike. They straight up don't know. If they don't know, should I just run into it? Should I exploit the fact that they don't know? What a weird situation to be in. I think it's correct to go for a swamp here, even though we have a uneven distribution of colors, mostly because Agadeem's Awakening exists and all of our white spells are just 1 white. So I'll kind of have to open that up to be a potential heal of a 1 or a 2. I guess I'm just going to assume they don't know what they're doing. Or that they know what they're doing? I don't know how they're at Platinum with mono red and they don't know this thing has first strike. That's what really blows my mind. I guess I'm going to get rid of the Demon's Disciple and get him for 1. I'm just going to assume that they figure it out eventually. Ooh, that's a nice one. Probably just absolutely eats removal, though. But gotta play him out. Okay. It's a 2-2. This is the weirdest game of mono red ever. Opponent passes again. Well, we swing for 3. Life total climbing steadily and happily. Pass the turn. We'll just crack Fable Passage at some point. Flashes in Ember Cleave without a creature. Love to see it. That's just absolutely fascinating. I think they are flooded out like crazy. We'll grab a Plains here. Doesn't really matter either way. We'll just, you know, thin the deck. I guess there's a chance that we get, like, Tabarax at some point. Who might draw us some cards and we can do multiple white spells in a turn. Off the card draw. Gain and Drain. This Hallowed Priest should be pretty much out of range of anything our opponent can ever do. I feel so bad for them. Look at the state of that. But then again, like, it's mono red, so I'm not allowed to feel bad for them. I also made a critical sequencing error early in the game as well, which they capitalized on, at least initially. And then it's just mono red not knowing this has first strike. So that's kind of unforgivable. That's a mono red crime right there. But we managed to do it, even though we kind of had a really crappy hand overall. It was alright, but yeah. Yeah. Okay then, first game with Tabarax in play, potentially. We're going to keep this one being on the play. We can go turn 1 Archfiend's Vessel and then turn 2 Fable Passage Crack, and we have another Vessel play or another a Blood Chief's Thirst play for removal. Either way, I think it's fine to be cracking Fable Passage on turn 2 here. Unless it's counters, and then creature will have good tech by the point that Heartless Act comes down. Alright, let's just get rid of Wildwood Tracker, because we want to game for a point of damage, you know? Seems like a great idea to me. Crack for a Plains. And get swinging. Could swear I changed these lands to the Zendikar ones, and they've just all changed back. Oh well. Another Tabarax. So this is a Landfall deck. I think I'm just going to go with the Luminarch Aspirant here and start growing the Archfiend Vessel. My assumption is that if they have some removal, it's going to be like the Spike Field thing for 1 point of damage, which can kill the Luminarch Aspirant, of course, but if they have like a Stomp, I'd much rather them hit the Vessel than the Aspirant, so it's kind of weighing up the pros and cons of either one, I guess. It's hard to say which one's the most appropriate. Well, I can just do an Aspirant here, keep growing that Vessel. Or I could play around that Spike Field and get some of these into a good spot. I could offer a trade with the Vessel and put one on as a 2-2. That doesn't seem like a great idea, though. It's either spread the counters around, or it's make a 4-4 Archfiend, and I'm not sure which one's the correct one right now. I guess I'm going to go with the 4-4 Archfiend, because that Mammoth is likely to be swinging as a 5-5. So I'll just gain this life and make that less relevant. Still need that land drop, though. If I can get that land drop and get Tabarax in play, that would be fantastic. Alright, Rada is down and making land drops. Ooh, that is a 7-7 coming in. That is a little less fine. I'm not blocking, so... you can make them as large as you want. Large and in charge. It's a lot of damage. I will not lie about that. Coom Hellhounds. And we did get our land, and it is untapped. So I think I want to go with the Tabarax here. And maybe leave back the Archfiend's Vessel as a blocker. Can grow Tabarax up to a 4-4 as well. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so it does need an additional land drop in order to push through the Vessel. So the reason I'm doing this is mostly because Tabarax is going to be very large very quickly. They got the land drop off of Rada there. And I think once he's got 4 counters on him, it's 5 counters actually. Then he has lifelink, but if I block with the Archfiend's Vessel here on something, Tabarax is going to actually gain that power up. So they could have the Harrow play, the instant speed, put 2 lands into play. I've got to be very careful with that. They don't have Embercleave because they don't have double red open. I'm wondering whether or not I should block the Kazandu Mammoth. I think I probably should. I'm still going to get my counters and I'm going to get some card draw here as well. Gain 4 life up to 15 and then down to 10 probably. Possibly. Bone Crusher Giant. Okay, making sure my Vessel dies, so... Tabarax going up. I will draw a card. I will draw a card. So it's going to have lifelink. It's going to be attacking for 7 life gain. We got the Agadeem's Awakening that we can't quite use just yet. And yeah, I think we're just going to play out our hand here. Should be pretty safe with a Tabarax gaining life. Can threaten lethal, and we have 3 blockers on the crapback, so should be pretty safe here. It's a shame we didn't have more black to hold up and Heartless Act, in all honesty. But we're going to draw a lot of cards from our blocks here. We've got 2 life gain triggers as well. Okay, so we do have to block Rada, which is unfortunate. because she has the activation of +6/+6. And we'd really rather that not happen. They could have an Ember Cleave as well. I guess I should block the non-life linker. Scavenging Ooze is a 6/6. I think I'll just, like, triple block. I don't think they have the answer to Tabarak, so as long as they don't have that, they lose. I probably shouldn't even be paying the life there, actually. Because I don't really need anything. I'm actually going to decline these triggers. On the off chance they can 14 me, which appears to not be the case. Yeah. I shouldn't really be pushing my luck by drawing cards there. It's a little bit greedy. It's kind of unnecessary. I don't think beyond Bone Crusher Giants and combat damage that they have a way of actually removing creatures. If they'd have had Ember Cleave there, it would have been a lot of damage, but I don't think it would have been enough, though. But who knows? Either way, managed to get it done, and yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. This deck is pretty solid, actually. It's been climbing up the ranks. I can't say that we've really come across anything that's meta-based, except for the Omnath piles, which I think we saw 2 of and beat them once. But it is early game anyway, so you're not really going to see too many meta decks necessarily, except for the Omnath pile, which is the only one people seem to want to play. Ooh, that's a good pickup. Actually, we needed one of those. We're going to open up another pack as well, because I think you guys are worth it, and you're also my good luck charm, so let's go get another Zendikar Rising pack. See what we get. Tell you, best openings are on camera. Except for when it's a pack opening video, then they're abysmal. Zareth Sam? It's pretty solid. I'm looking for the pathways at the moment. I've noticed that pretty much all of the pathways are like 1 or 2 ofs that that I need all 4 of, so my wildcards are going to take a beating if I don't start opening them in packs soon, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're, I don't know. I almost feel like when it comes to pack openings, certain cards are like rarer than the others. It's not just like all rares are created equal. I'm pretty sure like they really don't want you to have them pathways, so you craft them with wild cards because they know you need a playset. I don't know, it's a bit conspiracy theorist, so I've got no basis on that, just pure feelings, and which don't really get you that very far. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. I do kind of recommend checking this deck out. It's been a lot of fun. It's done pretty damn well as well. Couldn't really get much of the Aura Skyclave Hierophant out there. Maybe it doesn't even need to be in the list. You could probably cut like these 2 and then add in another Tabaraks, perhaps. Maybe some more removal. Probably, like, I don't know. Maybe 1 Aura's fine. I don't know about 2. I just wanted to see it most of all, so I wanted to make sure it wasn't a singleton thing. But we didn't really get to use it too much. I think it's pretty solid, though, with the Demon's Disciple. You just sack this and get back a 2-drop. Who enters the battlefield? Maybe it's a Hallowed Priest, gets a life trigger off of the Cleric. So there's definitely some synergy there with Aura in this deck, but yeah, just didn't quite do anything, to be honest. And it's a little bit higher on the mana cost curve for a format that is kind of swingy. Omnath, looking at you. But yeah, thank you very much for watching anyway, guys. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe as well if you haven't yet done so. It really helps out the channel a great deal. Lets me know what kind of content you're interested in seeing. Having a lot of fun with Standard as well, so hopefully you guys are too. And I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.